Hello and welcome to Confidently Wrong, a show by regular dudes talking with confidence about content we have no right to speak about with any kind of authority, but do it anyway. I'm Wesley Nakamura, and as always, I'm joined by award-winning director Brian Redondo and Savon Jones, aka Captain Bonnie. This is episode 151, and we dirt bike our way into the desolate wasteland of Furiosa, starring Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth, Thor himself. I'm confident that it's going to be the best show you've ever listened to, and well, hey, if it's not, you can always ask us for a refund.
Incredible!
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
It's Confidently Wrong. We're going to talk about Mad Max. Well, really, we're going to talk about Furiosa and this brand new movie that came out this week. Brian, how you doing?
I'm all right. I brought my ass. I'm here.
Nice. You brought your ass?
Yeah, I brought my ass.
All right, bring your ass. Savon?
Brought.
Oh, you're making me funny. I'm doing lovely. It's a lovely Sunday or Saturday, whatever today is. It's a lovely day. I can't complain. I'm here with the boys.
You're not only here with the boys. Like, we would be remiss not to mention the new background in your video as we're recording this. Like, that does not look familiar to me, that window. Where might you be, Savon?
Why are you doing this to me? Nothing. I'm at my girlfriend's house right now.
What is that?
I'm at my girlfriend's house, and I'm in her kitchen recording.
What up?
Girlfriend's house.
Yeah, got me a nice.
Be in there.
Not even an apartment, a house.
So, are you telling us that's what you wore last night?
No. What? No. Jeez.
Oh, he's got clothes there already.
Oh my God! Stop this.
He's got a drawer to himself.
Are we talking about?
This is off the rails.
Oh, we're talking about Mad Max West. I need you to be a host and take control of the situation. Be a damn host.
Sometimes you gotta let your stars cook. You know.
You was a teacher.
Just throw me the ball, coach.
He just doing his Darby hand impersonation, standing there with his hands in his pocket.
This is how I coach.
I'm like, Wes, call a timeout. I'm getting cooked out here. Switch me.
All right. No, I'm excited to talk about this. This is a movie I think that comes. People are really excited about this. I mean, a lot of the movie I went to was sold out except for like 2 seats. So it was a ton. I mean, 2 seats when I bought it. It was sold out by the time that I got to the theater. How because
Wes bought all 3. You know, he needs some leg room.
I need to really recline.
He does the man spread.
It was at one of those theaters that like you can buy food at. I got myself some loaded fries, which were delicious. A little too salty. I'm not gonna lie, like 5% too salty, but I'm not enough to not buy it or not eat it. I was scarfing those down, and then
5% too salty.
And then I
like, what does that even mean?
If that is a West statement, if you've ever heard it, y'all, like, sorry, pimp, continue.
And then I got a strawberry shake, and the strawberry shake was banging. It was so good. All right,
this is a father of 2 living his best life.
Right.
I was very stomach like full and maybe a little unhappily full by the time I left the movie, but I have no regrets. It was amazing. All right, so Brian, Savon, what do you know about this series? Like from way back in the Mel Gibson days to now, is there any context you want to give us? Savon, what's your take on Mad Max as a series?
All I know about Mad Max is the people got all kinds of weird scrapyard, twisted metal looking vehicles, and people be all dirty and wearing leather, and there's a lot of fire and just weird quasi bondage type stuff going on in like a desert. That is the beginning and
quasi bondage.
Yeah, I'm saying they got all kinds of weird shit on. That is the beginning and end of my knowledge of Mad Max. I just know crazy vehicles.
So you're level 1,
fighting and dying. Yeah.
Okay. All right, level 1. Brian, what's your familiarity here?
I mean, I've seen Fury Road, which was an amazing movie, blew me away. But I'm starting to realize and remember that I think my actual foray into Mad Max comes from maybe a Method Man video. Is it Method Man? Oh no, maybe it's Tupac. It's a Tupac video, right? Where they make it look like Mad Max.
Oh, really?
Oh, is that what that was?
Right? It's like in the desert. People are like wearing black leather and weird outfits.
That was the California Love video.
Yeah, it's California Love. That is Mad Max.
I did not know that was a Mad Max homage. I just thought that was rappers doing, I don't know, rappers
some like crazy
shit.
rapper stuff.
It was the 90s.
We got a budget.
Yeah, this is when Puff had the shiny silky jackets and stuff. Like people wore all kinds of. I didn't think that. No, wow.
It's a reference. It's a reference to Mad Max, which the original 2 movies from the 80s starring Mel Gibson. That Mel Gibson. I've never seen those movies, but I have seen California Love.
One of my favorite songs.
So I sort of know the world. I had high expectations though coming off of Fury Road. Fury Road, for those that have not seen it, Savon, excellent action movie, must watch.
Y'all knew I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, but the people didn't know you hadn't seen it. We gotta let them know.
But you're not gonna tell me like I'm just some dumbass,
uncultured, yeah,
uncultured heathen.
Hey, not everything is for everybody, right?
That's Wes's defense whenever he's got a bad take.
Right? Not everything for everybody. I'm like, yeah, some things are just bad.
All right. So speaking of Fury Road, this movie is the prequel to Fury Road, even though, right, we're just getting it now. 2020.
Thank you for defining prequel.
Yeah, I didn't know where I was going with that. It was a blunder. I'm sorry. Can we retake it? We'll clapboard again. Take 2. All right. So Fury Road 2015, I think Savon tells us, is the date of that film. It was I don't know, maybe one of the most like celebrated movies for how it was made of all time. I mean, there's so many videos out there on YouTube about how George Miller, the director, is kind of a genius for how he puts it together and the way that he builds the story and builds the character. It's like a whole, like everybody loves breaking apart Fury Road is like their film class, film theory exercise here. But what did you think of that Charlize Theron, Tom Hardy film? Well, I guess we got Brian's take. He loved it. Sav, never saw it?
Never seen it.
Never seen it. Okay. My take on it was sort of in between those 2 things. I enjoyed it, but I also thought it was a little bit stupid. And
it's very stupid.
So there are just some times where I'm like, am I wasting
It is
my
a
time
2-hour long chase in the desert, like no other cars. It's just a chase through the desert. They go to point. They go from point A to point B, and then back to point A.
And then they let the water out. And the part that you either really love it or really hate it is there's the moment where the War Boys, and there's some of them strapped to the front of a truck or something, and they're playing these guitars, and then like flames come out of the neck of the guitar while they're playing.
Gangster.
And,
while suspended in the air too.
Yeah.
Like he's on like bungee cords.
And it's like multiple of them, right?
Oh yeah, that's part of the war party, man. You can't have your war party without any like heavy axe slashing.
So they had the battle drums back in the day, right? You had the drummer boys. He's like, hey, you gotta set the vibes. You went back like 1800s.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
all right, we got these muskets, but we gotta play this going too. Hey,
that
on the beat,
fighting is about rhythm, man.
I could not take that as like any sort of like what? Like you're on this like very important chase and they're like clearly like want to get it done, but you had time to strap, your like amplifiers and your guitar, and then the guys up there with the flamethrowers and they're hooked to like blood bag, humans. And then how are they going to fight from up there? Like none of it seemed at all like worth the trouble that they went through to do.
Does the rule of cool mean nothing to you, Wes?
And style points.
Yeah,
100%.
I hadn't considered that when I watched the original movie, that it was a rule of cool, as Savon would say. That's just a rule of cool movie.
The moment you look at the Mad Max poster, you can see, oh, this is a rule of cool movie. None of this shit makes sense. The dude had a chariot that was 3 motorcycles and then some weird contraption while he was in the chariot and he's not touching the bikes and it's just somehow working. Every time that was on screen, I'm like, this is the most ridiculous shit.
I think there were some belt buckles that were connecting the handles.
And I was like, this is also this MacGyver jerry rig shit, but also it's kind of hard as shit. Don't think about it too hard. Like, Wes B, how do you enjoy fiction, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
That wasn't a rhetorical question.
I think it should be grounded in reality of some sort.
Mad Max will never be grounded in reality, Wes.
But they made a whole plot point of them having the like fuel line cut. You know, like if that's not whatever, it's fine. It's fine. So that's what I thought of Mad Max Fury Road. I didn't think it was amazing. It was fine. I love actually watching the breakdowns though, because I do love seeing how people like pull it apart and can be like, this is how the story is told. And I have a cool appreciation for like the way that George Miller builds a movie, and that like I also enjoy that it's like 100% commitment. You have no doubt that like he had 100% creative control. This wasn't a movie that was like, oh, I'm trying to make this for everyone, or it's trying to say too much or be anodyne. This movie, like none of these movies are anodyne. Like they are absolutely committed to the bit of
they're anodynamite.
Exactly. So, like mad respect to him and the studios for just having faith in like their ability to pull this off. Because even if it's not necessarily my favorite type of movie or my favorite movies, I wouldn't enjoy like going to movie theaters or movies that were all 100% the same and all safe and all about like, let's just make the most money for the most people and, you know, whatever. Like you just get the same things over and over again. And I think that's some of our feeling towards, you know, the Marvel universe right now. It's like a little bit, they're trying to do too much in terms of being safe and appealing to everybody, and rather than like pursuing what they want and pursuing a creative, you know, kind of just make it like exactly what you want, you know.
And really what made Fury Road work was that George Miller put the max amount of creativity in the action sequences, right? Production design, right, is one thing, but then the action is really what makes that movie work, because he's not doing action in the way that most contemporary movies do it, right? Where it's just a lot of like fast moving cuts and things are a jumble and you just kind of go with it, right? Like in Fury Road, everything has careful, precise cause and effect. And that cause and effect chain of sequences is a very, very long chain. So like something happens at the back of the truck, something happens at the front of the truck, those things converge in the middle of the truck, and then that thing that happens then has implications later, like, you know, 30 truck. Seconds away. And so it's just this overarching effect where you just understand the flow of all the fighting, all the action, that builds to this very satisfying whole. Like you feel like you've experienced storytelling in those action sequences, even though it might just be, you know, a very long extended fight on a truck. But they're just so scintillating to watch because they unfold in the storytelling of it, and that is mad awesome. And
can you imagine maximum
props to
where are you going with this?
I have no idea.
If it was Mad Max fight on a truck, that would
that's what it is. Fury Road equals fight on a truck.
It's like that movie Speed, right, with the bus.
That was
great movie,
so
which
good.
Is a great movie.
But more post-apocalypse.
Not so great on a cruise ship, which is Speed 2.
All right, Brian, can you then catch us up? What is the premise at the beginning of this movie? You could do a little bit of connection to Fury Road, I think.
Yeah.
But what is the, you know, just what are we dealing with here in this movie? What do we need to know?
So Furiosa, clearly prequel, origin story for the main protagonist of Mad Max Fury Road, which is Imperator Furiosa, you know, played amazingly by Charlize Theron. And so in Furiosa, you know, we get the entire backstory of how she became to be the Imperator for Immortan Joe, the tyrant that leads the Citadel, that, you know, that has all the water and food, that they trade with the other civilizations, the other groups that exist in this wasteland version of Australia. So we get the full backstory of Furiosa. We also learn a little bit about what happened, how we got to this wasteland of sand, desert, and motorcycles and hot rods. we hear at the beginning of the movie like, oh, there are all these things. There are pandemics. There was violence. There was global warming. All sorts of things, famine coming together to create this wasteland, of a planet. Here we are in Australia, and so in Furiosa, we start with Furiosa as a little girl, and then living in what seems to be the place that Furiosa in Fury Road, living in the society that Furiosa is chasing after, right? And so now we finally get to see it. I guess that's a little bit of a spoiler.
It happens in the first 5 minutes of the movie. I think it's okay.
No. I mean, for if you haven't seen Fury Road.
Okay.
So Furiosa as a little girl, she gets involved with Dementis, played by Chris Helmsworth, and then ultimately gets wrapped into Immortan Joe, right? Who's the big villain of Fury Road, right? So we get this whole evolution of the character from, basically innocent little girl to the badass, driver from Fury Road that we all came to know and love, right? Somebody who, is stoic, hard-nosed, willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done, able to take care of herself and anybody else, firing shotguns, driving an 18-wheel rig, and fighting off war boys, right? So like, how do we go from innocent little girl to that? That's what Furiosa is all about.
All right. So we got, like we said, I mean, these movies are obviously over the top. If you haven't seen a Mad Max movie, or, it's just the character designs are wild. Did you find yourself being drawn to any of the characters just based on like their design? I mean, an easy answer is like Immortan Joe with his like teeth mask that's helping him breathe, and his little like billowing breathing apparatus and stuff.
Oh, it looks
Darth
like it's
Vader.
made of flesh.
Yeah, albino Darth Vader was really, he had a cool design. I'll give him that.
But is there any other characters that you found yourself just like being drawn towards, Sev?
Oh man, that's kind of tricky because I liked a lot of people's designs. It's weird. I actually think that the road, what is it, the War Boys,
the white one, the white painted
the
kids
albinos?
are the War Boys.
They were
albinos,
kind of cool. Like when Dementis first rolls up on them and their people, and he's like threatening the assault and war, and the guy's just like, pick one of our dudes.
Yeah.
Like, why? Just pick one. Why? Just trust me. Pick one. You witness me, and then it blows off like. That was kind of hard as shit.
He takes the silver spray paint in the mouth too, right?
Yes, that's supposed. I don't get it, but like rule of cool. I don't know how y'all indoctrinated these dudes into just being these badass warriors who will throw away their life in a heartbeat. But the spectacle, I am here for it. And the degree to which, when even in all the fight scenes in the movie, these dudes do not give a. Wasn't there a part where your girl grabs the dynamite, Furiosa grabs the dynamite, and she could have thrown it on the dude herself and blew up their car, but the war boy sees it and grabs it instead, and it's like, witness me. And it's just like, dude, you didn't have to die to do that. Well, girl had the dynamite and was gonna toss it. You took it from her, lit it, and then suicide bombed into their car. I respect the commitment. Hard as shit. Yeah, there's a lot of other cool designs, but something about that really, I don't know. They were just, I enjoyed watching them on screen nonstop. All of that faction, because they're the ultimate red shirt goons who also get shit done.
Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like in some ways, like the character designs were less ostentatious in this one than they were in Fury Road. I don't know. In my brain, I'm just thinking like, I remember seeing like wild characters in Fury Road, but maybe that's not true. Maybe it was really just the War Boys and Immortan Joe, the kind of the main villain that were really standoutish. I mean, maybe also because like Tom Hardy had on that like cage on his face for so long in the other one.
He's always got something on his face.
I mean, that's true too.
What a weird guy. Yeah, I think you're right. It's because Fury Road, that's when we see everybody from the Citadel, Immortan Joe, the War Boys, Furiosa herself. Even all the other things around the Citadel, like mother's milk comes from women who are engorged with
From their
milk, and
pregnancies.
they're actually just pumping milk out of them. Like, so you get all this
That's what
crazy
they meant by
world
that?
building. Yes.
That's when he said, "Oh," and the wife happened to say, "Oh, she can be a milker." I'm like, "Oh, that doesn't sound pleasant," but I don't know what that means.
Yeah, not pleasant at
I
all.
thought milk was like an allegory for a metaphor for
No,
opium or some shit.
entirely literal in this
Well, that's
world
awful.
of the Citadel. So you
Thanks.
like if you've seen Fury Road, you get so much world building, and that's where a lot of the crazy characters are. In Furiosa, we see other groups and settlements, right? And they're not designed as ostentatiously as the War Boys. But that's not to say that the designs weren't good. Like, I actually really enjoyed spending time with Dementis and the biker gang. Like, that was completely new to me. And so, kind of seeing their aesthetic come together, like, they have like skulls as helmets, and all sorts of weird armor, weird things on their motorcycles, like a mannequin as the handlebars of the motorcycle. And then you got Dementis himself. He rides the trio of motorcycles as a chariot. He also is carrying around a little stuffed teddy bear, which is
parachute cape
with a parachute cape. Yeah, which is he looks kind of cool, kind of deranged, kind of like he walked out of the WWE, like with his like S&M outfit.
He's definitely dressed like a WWF wrestler.
Yeah. So you got that, plus his right hand man, or his advisor, Sage or whatever, is like covered head to toe in tattoos. Is this
the history man?
Yeah, who's looking like Saruman from Lord of the Rings,
but like
tattoos.
Human lexicon slave.
Yeah, I thought like that was really cool. Well, of course, they don't rise to the level of the War Boys, who are just so outrageously over the top and hilarious.
Witness me.
Yeah, as part of their shtick, like, the biker gang didn't have as much shtick. So yeah, like in some ways I felt a little underwhelmed, based on the last movie. But it made sense for the world that they inhabited. So it's sort of like a little bit of ambivalence on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some implication that like the toxicity and the radiation of the world or whatever that destroyed the world is part of why these guys look the way that they do. And so, I mean, there's a guy with like stripes on his head. He's got a bald head and it's kind of like striped, almost like a Michigan Wolverine helmet. Like,
oh yeah, he looked kind of cool.
Yeah, and then there was the one guy that had like the black horns, like Maleficent, on his head.
Yeah, that was hard.
Is he the one missing an eye?
Someone's missing an eye. But I didn't necessarily enjoy the guy with the black helmet. It's like that would be a lot in the middle of the desert. You would just be baking the shit out of yourself. Like, what are you doing here? And
rule of cool.
At some point, he has like a veil over his face, so then you can't even see his facial expressions. He's just a mannequin walking around,
Brian, can you see me trying to not burst into actual flames right now? Wes, you're gonna make
flame on.
Wes, you're gonna make me have a nosebleed out of sheer frustration. Like, I'm gonna be live on the show.
All right,
say something.
Don't turn into the Human Torch.
I'm just gonna have a nosebleed and pass out on camera.
All right, what did you enjoy? Let's talk about this movie now. What did you enjoy most about the movie? Character, plot, story, whatever. Sav, what was the thing that stood out to you?
Honestly, what stood out is that I was kind of able to this is a movie where I was able to turn my brain off a little bit.
Oh, I was not turning my brain off. But
I turned my brain off hard. This was very much a cool, like we said before, this is rule of cool. I'm not thinking too hard about it. I know the key parts, right? That water, gasoline, and food are really important. They figuring that shit out. All right, bet I know the key. So what I enjoyed was that kind of like when we talked about the X-Men episode, I really like when a movie or something can embrace camp and does it well and isn't ashamed of a ridiculous concept. I feel like when you have a really wild concept, when you half-ass it and don't want to just lean into the ridiculousness of it, it doesn't work. Mad Max, similar to when we talk about other stuff, is unapologetically itself. So the ridiculous characters, the insanity of these people getting shot off these bikes decorated with bones and shit. But then they have these built-in gas tankers that they're strapping on and clicking in. And it was ridiculous and not practical. And I had lots of engineering questions, but there were just lots of set pieces and design moments that are just visually cool as shit. When they made that big war rig and you could see the metal iron balls on the back of the drill thing, the whole time I'm like, when are they gonna activate that? That looks cool as shit. There's gotta be a button someone's gonna press to make that do the thing, right? And then when they did the thing, I'm like, they're doing the thing. So all that to say, what I liked about the movie is that I've never seen a movie edited in a style where they just had those 5 different parts. I kind of like that. I don't know how to explain what I liked about it, but it felt like non-traditional storytelling. It felt like I just got something really refreshing from this movie that other movies don't give me. Ridiculous concept.
A title card.
Ridiculous concept, silly shit, but then
don't hate on the title cards.
Well, it's funny that like this is
a way to organize the story.
He was like, this is the thing that makes it cool.
Title card. I liked it though. Her childhood, the stuff leading up. I don't know. It's like some movies is just beginning, middle, beginning, end. I'm like, that's fine. But this movie, again, I felt like that added personality to the movie. This movie felt like it was made with a lot of personality and care, and that stood out. And I'm glad that I got to just watch a really long. This movie was long as shit, but a long action movie of just lots of cool sequences. I'm like, hey man, sometimes that's all you need. I don't need a deep, sad story, although the story is sad. I just need cool shit on screen and badass character moments, and they gave me that in spades. So I got what I paid for.
Yeah, I did not go see it at the most comfortable theater with, waiting service and oversalted French fries. I saw it at more of an old school style theater.
You missed out.
I was squirming in my chair a little bit. Like the chair was not very comfortable. I was squirming a little bit because this is a long movie. This is 2.5 hours of Furiosa backstory. I don't know if it overstayed welcome. It's welcome. It might have. But
the end of the movie is also really loud, like uncomfortably loud.
It is a loud movie, but yeah.
Yeah, I like loud. Loud is cool.
There's a lot of loud shit happening. It better be loud.
I just want you to give me like just cause to sit in my uncomfortable chair for 2.5 hours. But I think for me the movie clicks the best when it felt most like Fury Road, when it actually like delivered on the same thing. And that's probably when they built the war rig and they go to Gastown for the first time, and the bikers are attacking that war rig, and then we get to see some really creative stuff happen like that didn't happen in Fury Road, like the parasailing guys that are like coming off of the motorcycles. Sick. Oh, that was such a great moment. Like the close up as they're skiing on the sand, and then they launch into the air.
Was so sick.
That was just so much action, goodness, production design, all of it. And Furiosa herself is crawling underneath the semi, and she's like holding on to the gas line, and she's got a motorcycle underneath the thing, and the motorcycle goes under the wheels,
and then
all
the
of
claw
that
picks it up.
Oh yeah, then it's got the claws, like all of that is so outrageous that as we know from Fury Road, that could have been a whole movie in and of itself, and I would have been fine with that. To me, in a way, I kind of just wanted more of that. But this movie kind of gives us a lot more different venues and set pieces than just the war rig. Like clearly George Miller didn't want to just, rehash the same thing over and over. And I think, some were better than others. Like I really like seeing Furiosa's mom, and I like seeing her at her most innocent, trying to navigate the bikers world. Mm-hmm. Like to me, that was some of the most fun and worthwhile stuff. And then the movie kind of like takes some turns.
For sure. Sav, did you say what you enjoy most?
Yeah, just the movie was just unapologetically itself.
Nice.
Although I gotta say, Chris Hemsworth I also went into this movie knowing, okay, Chris Hemsworth is just about to be hamming it up, having a blast, and he was very interesting. Like interesting, the good kind of interesting. I enjoyed him because he was this weird mix of like, oh, he's really competent, but also he's really incompetent. And he was like, he was like the smartest dumb person, dumbest smart person, one of those type of vibes of like, how could an idiot also be so good at just getting shit done?
You should have a podcast.
But simultaneously not getting shit done. But it was, I enjoyed his character. I like how they have him get aged and become less effective and all like really throw it off. I like that his dirty parachute cape gets like more and more dirty as the movie goes on. It goes from being this clear white thing to black and bloody and soot covered. And then honestly, he was fun to watch in the movie. I loved the end when him and Furiosa have that little final standoff speech where suddenly he goes from goofy villain who's fun to root against to like, oh, this dude is actually way deeper and more profound than we initially gave credit. And all this outside stuff actually is a cover for, you know what, you're right, Wes. Maybe there is a deeper point the movie tried to make about your humanity and all that, because it felt like just cars and explosions until the end where I'm like, oh, dude, he's crazy, but he's right. Like, you could kill him, you could torture him, you can do all that. You're not going to get back what you want. What's the plan? He even makes peace of his death. Like, what you going to do? What's up? I've ruined you already. You kill me, nothing happens. And she somehow, and I gotta give the writers props, she probably did the one course of action of like, ooh, I think she might have got you with that one. like, because I was agreeing, like, yeah, man, no matter what you do, he's kind of won. He doesn't care. And she, reversed that in a way of like, oh, my B. I wasn't aware of your game. I didn't think you was gonna plant this man into a tree and keep him alive. Like, oh, that's
100%. Nobody saw that one coming. Right?
I'm like, that was some pretty good revenge. I'm like, ooh, she kind of got you, bro. I was like, all right.
Apparently, that's. I think I was watching Screen Crush, and they pointed out that that's from like Greek mythology. That's from Prometheus, the guy who brought humans fire.
Yeah, he has the bird. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, who always takes out his insides.
He gets fused into a tree, and then the eagle eats his liver.
Was that his punishment? That was his punishment.
His punishment is that he has to be eaten alive by an eagle every day for the rest of his life, and then he regenerates at the end of the day. Fun fact: Prometheus appears in God of War, and you kill him because you free him from that exact thing. He's just literally getting tortured by a giant.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
yeah,
happened in God of War 2. But that's a cool little reference. But I had to point out, I love that. That really made Chris Hemsworth go from fun villain to like, oh, he's one of my favorite parts of this movie.
Yeah,
I didn't love him, but yeah, Brian.
Yeah, I was gonna agree with you. Like that debate, that argument that he has with Furiosa when she's already got him, she can kill him right then and there. She can have her revenge, but he is arguing that the depravity has already won. Like, it doesn't make a difference. You are already now part of this wasteland. You are a depraved human being. You, in fact, have lost your humanity. So it doesn't even matter what happens at that point. And then she double downs on it. She uses the seed that we saw the whole movie. And for that 2.5 hours, I kept thinking like, oh, do we see that seed in Fury Road? Is that the seed that she remembers as an older Furiosa and is pining for? Like, no, actually it's not. They're just setting us up for this really, really awful act of revenge at the end of the movie. And perhaps that is what George Miller is trying to say. Like, the wasteland is going to make all of us depraved at the very end, that we're all just going to double down and do the most vile and vicious things to each other, as mandated when the world ends.
Very Lord of the Flies way of looking at it. It could be optimistic. It could be that she's taking his hatred and his lack of humanity and giving back life to the earth. There's
okay. She did give the fruit to the imprisoned women.
Yeah, no, I agree with Wes. I kind of interpreted that way, because had she just outright killed him, it would have proved the point. But the idea is for him to stay alive long enough to see, you were wrong, yada yada. She freed the wife, so clearly she's on an altruistic streak. Now I have to see the following movie because I don't know, because clearly they're setting up a bunch of other stuff that I need to watch. But I took it as they are trying to have it be a theme of preserve your humanity. This world is awful, but you don't have to be awful. Now, I don't know how much that
Sort of,
stays the case in the next movie. I don't know if she has a character.
That's kind of the main
theme
of that's the main theme of Fury Road. I feel like is.
Well, I'm gonna
You
wait.
guys are so optimistic. You clearly don't live in New York. I love it. It's very sweet.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait and see Fury Road. But
check it out. I don't know where you can watch it, but I'm sure it's available on streaming somewhere.
It's probably somewhere.
All right. So Sav really liking Chris Hemsworth, especially in that dramatic turn, towards the end, where he's kind of really lost his own sense of optimism, right? He's just turned into the Joker basically at this point. I don't know. I'm torn. I liked his quips, I enjoyed it, but it just felt like I was like, you're just being Chris Hemsworth right now. Like, chill a little bit.
He wasn't Thor at all.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Nah, yeah, but just that.
What does that mean, being Chris Hemsworth? Just
like he had to throw a quip into everything when he made himself more incompetent, I think, than it had to be, right? Like he was very self-deprecating, but it's like you couldn't have held together all of these rival biking gangs by being that inept. You couldn't have.
But see, that's why I disagree, because and I said this a second ago, that when his character is so fun is that he's simultaneously competent and incompetent at the same time.
I mean,
he's a goofball with some of his plans, but hey,
it's clear you're holding together these different factions. You can't do that by not being intentional about what you're doing. And he just doesn't seem like that
Trojan
intentional.
Horse Gastown. His whole plan was to get into Gastown. And he's crazy, but he had a smart plan. Gastown's important. He wants to solidify his place in the Wasteland and be stronger, amass forces, Trojan Horse their way into Gastown to take over it.
Killed off some of his own gang members in the process,
and pissed some of them off. So it's not like actions don't have consequences. And he came and he basically bullied and negotiated his way into Gastown. And he might be a goofball doing it, but that is smart and competent stuff. He also simultaneously is stumbling over his words and lying about the daughter, and turns out to be a shitty leader. But to me, that made me like him, because he was the guy who was good at winning, bad at ruling, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I thought he was very smart. Even the part where he's like, oh no, we don't got time to get away. Ran through the fence, had a better vehicle, chased them down, right? When he had the big vehicle with the stronger engine, he was able to go up the hill that the bikes couldn't. Some of that stuff, I want to give him more props, just because he looks dumb doing it. He made good decisions that did benefit him for what his goals were in the plot, even if he comes off as an idiot. But
I can see how that works. I think for me, it didn't work because it was sort of incongruous to be I'm just a blah, 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 ditz. And then to be yeah, but I'm kind of also a mastermind. It's
I like those characters.
Those really don't go together that well.
What?
Unless your chaos is what's happening. But he wasn't chaotic, right?
I think he's a little chaotic.
Absolutely was.
Yeah, but that wasn't why he was succeeding. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't keeping people on their toes.
I disagree.
In a Joker way. Right? Whereas if you're the Joker and part of your thing is you have no fucking clue what I'm going to do. And that's the danger of me. Right? And I'm going to force you into positions that you don't want to be in. That wasn't necessarily his working style. Right? He was just this is fun. We're going to have a fight to the death so that you can be part of my group. And we're going to do all these other things. And I'm going to order people around, and I have this plan. And then we're going to go to Gastown. He was trying to be planned, but also kind of incompetent. I don't know. Maybe, he was middle management for sure. Those the big vibes.
I think it's okay to say, oh, he was goofy and ditzy and I didn't like it. I think that's just a matter of opinion, but I don't think that that's a valid reason to say, oh, that doesn't change the things he did in the plot that were very much, regardless of how you feel about his character, this was a thoughtful, intentional move. Regardless of his personality,
but that's what I'm saying is those two ideas didn't fit together for me. Is how could he be that intentional when he's clearly doesn't have any kind of plans?
Wes,
on one hand they're characterizing
smart
him as
goofballs.
Plans.
They got people who are.
It's not about smart. It's about they characterize him as intentional in some ways and then really unintentional in other ways, right? Him going into the Citadel with no real plan and being I demand this. And then him getting his ass kicked because he did no actual planning for that. He didn't know what he was coming up against. He had no idea about who Immortan Joe was. All he was I'm just gonna go here and do blah blah blah. And it's That's how you die. Like, you don't get to be.
I think it's more about the Wasteland and how there's people in the Wasteland who see an opportunity and figure out a way to seize it. Yeah. Right? I mean, they might not necessarily have this grand plan or grand vision. But I think that's sort of the world that Mad Max has built, right? Like that there are people like this out there who will take what they want when they need to. And so, he wasn't looking for the Citadel. He was looking for the place of abundance,
right? Which
he wanted. He found the Citadel, which was similar, which still had more than they had. And he figured out a way to get it, right? He got his ass beat the first time around. He came back around with a chaos plan that absolutely worked. Right. And then he did the same thing again with the other two settlements. So I think that is just more of a testament to the wasteland environment that they're living in. And kind of speaks to, how awful and how chaotic that world is, right? Like the natural order is always meant to get disturbed 100% every time and immediately. Like there will never be a lasting peace in the wasteland.
Also what I'll add too is that, again, because I really do want to underscore that, again, the character had lots of like smart big brain moves. His master plan at the end was literally to fake them thinking that Gas Town was destroyed so that they would leave to go check it out, to let him then be able to attack the Citadel. Like he has multiple smart tactical moves throughout the movie.
Furiosa outsmarted him, though.
Yeah, I mean, because he still was a flawed character. His biggest thing was that he was smart at times, but bad at logistics and ruling. So he still screwed himself over. That was his downfall. But the dude had some big brain moves of how he took the Trojan horse move at the end. If it wasn't for Furiosa being very insistent, they were absolutely gonna get tricked into going to a place that was, and leave the Citadel unguarded. Like, I like the trope of a character being smart, even if they don't appear as outwardly smart. I don't think every smart villain character has to be the classic, I'm buttoned up, so put together. There are lots of really smart, competent villains who are still impulsive, still goofy, still not put together. And how the audience receives that is one thing, but I don't think it inherently undermines their intelligence. But also, I don't like tying a character being smart to these very rigid traits of, they're smart. Okay, well, they have to be these things. Otherwise, the audience won't buy it. Like, no, you could be smart and also be goofy. And I'm okay with that. I like those villains.
You can also have a hook nose if you want. Why not?
The hook nose was funny. I don't know why. Maybe it was just to make him not look like Chris Hemsworth. I was cool with
it. He didn't look like, I mean, he was not unrecognizable, but he also wasn't like super recognizable. You're like, that could be a different person. This movie is actually called Furiosa. It's not called Dementis, though. How did we feel about Furiosa in this one? Did you like the way that this character was sort of developed over time? I thought it was cool. I mean, you sort of see like her rebellious streak. You see her like willingness to fight back right from the very beginning. And also as a protector, right? She tells her younger sister, like, stay here, be invisible, right? Like she wants to protect her sister, even while she's going to go do something dangerous to try and get the marauders out of the place. Her ingenuity in kind of escaping from captivity when she gets into the Citadel, and then kind of hiding in plain sight, right? As a mechanic, within this world, and moving her way up and then getting noticed. I don't know. I really enjoyed how they kind of built her character through all these moments. And, if you've seen Fury Road, you sort of understand too, that ultimately she's still able to hang on to that protective nature of herself. And so they established that early on, but she's also a survivor, right? And so she's willing to do kind of gruesome things in the name of that survival. And you see also like her willingness to like attach to different people, and that kind of leading her astray, right? She's willing to build these relationships, and she keeps getting thwarted throughout the movie. Like the attachments she makes are actually not really that great for her. But she seizes on to power. And so that's part of like her character's a little bit weakness in this part. And she needs to develop that in the next movie of believing in more of herself. But I don't know. Brian, what do you think of this Furiosa in this one?
I really like the younger iteration of Furiosa, pre Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
Who really did feel very feisty.
Yeah.
Trying to find her way out, when she cuts off her own hair to create a wig because she knows that she's going to be the
guy's going to play with
predated
her
on her by Rectus Erectus. That was like a really it was fun, it was scary, and it was a great character building moment for her. But I did feel a little bit differently when she gets someone older. And as you say, she's hiding in plain sight. She's become a mechanic. She's silent.
Mm-hmm.
When she connects with the other driver, Praetorian
Jack.
or whatever,
Praetorian
Jack, who, let's face it, is kind of like a Mad Max stand-in. He's basically playing the Tom Hardy character in this.
But more like genuine almost, right? Like he's not feral.
Yeah. Mad Max is definitely a loner, didn't want to get involved. This guy more willing to do so.
Boyfriend material.
It felt a little more disingenuous that
really
she would throw in with him so readily. I know she was kind of like left a little bit injured, hobbling in the desert. But she'd been fighting for her life the whole time. And then she just tries to hand him over the gun. Like that just seemed a little bit surreal and unearned. And then when she becomes his apprentice, a driving apprentice, it didn't make sense to me that Furiosa would regrow her hair. And everybody around them was just completely accepting of it. I felt like that really took me out of the element.
Really?
And then they pushed it even more by having Praetorian Jack and her sort of have a romance, which also seemed like they were forcing something that didn't need to exist. Like she was her own person up until that point, and like suddenly she had to uphold a vendetta for him because she cared about him so much. Like yes, I guess he taught her how to drive, but she could have also gotten away. And like, so her MO really shifts in the middle of the movie in a way that I thought felt out of character.
That's interesting.
It was like still enjoyable. I sort of like just went with it. But it's kind of where the movie for me took a turn that didn't feel as earned.
Yeah,
I'm a sucker for love stories. I love it.
I wasn't a fan of the love story part, but I enjoyed Furiosa's just arc throughout the movie. I liked that they just pegged her as just she's a survivor. That's really what it come down to. Put her into space, she's gonna figure out how she needs to move. Which is why for me, Brian, the hair cutting part wasn't really a big deal to me, because for me it was she just adapts to what's in front of her. She figured out what she needed to do when she was stuck with Dementus. When she realized, oh boy, a Morton Joe? Oh, this whole life situation. Oh, this ain't it. Like, she adapted. She realized, oh, in this situation, me being a girl is like to my detriment. She spent years being a mute with short hair, but like, I'm okay with the fact that she didn't have issues once she wasn't in a space where that was a concern, being able to kind of just adapt back to the situation, right? Like, she was hitting as a man because that was for her benefit. When she was in a new space where that wasn't the case anymore, she said, okay, well, I'm good. My priorities have shifted, which for her ended up still just being able to return home, right? I think that was always her biggest character priority. But to your point, well, I think what's interesting, right, is that there's a whole scene, I don't know if y'all caught this, when she had her arm, it took me a second to realize, when she ripped her arm off, that was the arm with the tattoo for her to go back home.
Yeah, she lost.
So yeah, I didn't realize that.
The map.
Yeah, so I'm like, once she did that, I felt like that did represent a major shift for her character priority, right? Of like, oh, now it's about survival. Going home isn't really an option. What does that mean for you? Now, I don't know. I have to see the following movie to see what does that mean for her character, but I liked her journey of being a survivor only motivated by going home. And then suddenly it's like, oof, for me to live, that option has to just be wiped off the table hard. And
survival and revenge, right? She's like,
and revenge.
This Dementus dude is going down.
Yeah. To your point, I like that because to your point, Wes, once she lost home, revenge was all she really had left. Because I felt like in the movie she was being driven more by just returning home than F Dementis. But once she crossed paths with him again, and he really screwed over the person who she built a relationship with, and she lost the arm and he tortured all that. It's like, all right, well, revenge is all I got. Back to the whole losing your humanity, right? She lost home, but how can she get it back? But I don't know, Brian. I guess that's one of those I don't agree. I like that she
had opportunities to go home before she lost that arm.
Really?
Is what I'm saying.
When did she have
like
time?
she could have killed Jack when he stopped the truck and met her like on the middle of the road. She could have killed him, taken the truck. She could have left. She could have left as soon as Jack gave her that car and put the motorbikes on it. But she wanted to leave with him, right?
Yeah.
Like she could have left.
I think she was thinking about her mama again. I think she was thinking about the. I don't know. To me, I liked all that stuff. Like I like that she seems to be wrestling constantly between revenge and the people you care for and how that intertwines. Like, I actually thought that made for a good struggle because she wants to see her family. She misses her mom, home, all that stuff, to tattoo the fruit. But she also builds new relationships with the dude Jack, who she knows temporarily. And then all the beef she also amasses, like having to juggle those two. I don't know. I'm not saying there's some kind of big, deeper message, but I enjoyed her, especially for a character who did not have a lot to say by design. So a lot of her acting is through body language, through camera angles, reading the room. I don't know. For a character who did not have a lot to say, I enjoyed Furiosa quite a bit because I just respected her commitment to surviving.
Nice. I wish we could talk about this movie for a lot longer. I think there's more to dive into. We haven't even talked about like how good were the action scenes. We didn't really talk about like the things that we didn't enjoy specifically. I think we've mentioned them and sprinkled them along the way. And then I think trying to take apart maybe George Miller's like symbolism and message throughout the movie, we probably would need to watch it again to really dive into that as our, film theory segment might go. Maybe Brian will have to do a highbrow Brian on it one day and really break it down for us. And then, we maybe we'll do a Does It Hold Up on the original Mad Max here at some point and see if we enjoy that. I have a feeling we're going to find the original Mad Max is a little boring.
Shout out to a friend of the show, Sean, who I watched this.
What's up, Sean?
He actually requested Does It Hold Up for these original Mad Max movies.
Maybe we need to go back and watch it. I don't know. We'll let Savon and you be the guinea pig on that. I'm skeptical of the original ones. I think they're going to be boring.
Yeah, I have a feeling they do not, especially with Mel Gibson at the center.
Oh man, that was like the beginning of his career. So he hadn't hit his Lethal Weapon stride yet at that point. All right, friends, that'll do it for us. I think overall we enjoyed this one, but also, it's maybe not the movie that's universally going to be loved. So hopefully y'all will enjoy it. If you go see it, and if you know you're not going to enjoy it, don't go see it. Go see something.
It's 2.5 hours, y'all. That's the real thing. The movie's just long.
Yeah. Don't drink as much soda right at the beginning of the movie.
There are 5 title cards.
Pace yourself.
Right? Dude, when they had the 5th one, I was like, this movie is still going on.
Yeah. And they completely skipped over the war. There was a war that happens at the very end. They skipped it.
Yeah. They had to montage that shit.
They're just like, here's the dead bodies. You realize you know what we're talking about. You get it. There's a
lot out here.
Yeah, his whole tribe had been wiped out. All right, y'all. That was a good one. Let us know what you thought of Furiosa, Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Hemsworth, and the whole gang just living their best lives in the wasteland, trying not to die and trying not to get, radiation poisoning or whatever else is happening out there. I did not have a dead Siamese twin baby, radioactive baby on my bingo card there for that one. That was a
fool.
That was a thing. Woo! I was not prepared.
There were a lot of legs.
I was not prepared. All right. That'll do it for us. See you later, friends. Bye.
Witness me.
Ooh.